So it is what day? Holy cow, it's October 1st. We are now officially 3/4 of the way through the year. We've got 3 months left, and I've got bad news and I got good news. The bad news is that I didn't really have anything to work with as of yesterday as to bring up what a hot topic is. And of course, the good news is that there's nothing that came up regarding agency or the settlement or how to work with it. So I'm hoping, guys, that we're pretty much past all of those things. But obviously, if you've got questions, we'll hit that toward the end. As you saw with my email this morning with the reminder, what we're actually going to get into then is appraisal stuff. So as I go through, let me know if you got questions, but I'm going to just throw out scenarios, the questions that came up regarding appraisers and appraisals, how we can work with them, and what you may not do. So here's the first one that we're going to hit. My buyer's lender has selected an appraiser who I believe is geographically incompetent. Now, we've all run into this one. We question whether or not this person should ever have been assigned to this. I'm afraid the home won't appraise and my client's loan will be denied because of that. Can I ask my client's lender to select another appraiser who is more familiar with the area? So let's use the chat room. And of course, you can always take yourself off mute and let me know. But what are your thoughts to that? Throw them out there in the chat. Talk with each other. So here we go. Survey says no, you can't do that. The federal law actually prohibits real estate licensees, agents, from being involved in the selection of a real estate appraiser for any transaction which the licensee will receive a commission. So we can help a lot of things unless if it deals with the sale of a home that we're going to receive a compensation for. Okay, let's go on to the next one. I don't think the appraiser is very familiar with the neighborhood. Similar, can I contact the appraiser and provide them with comparable property information? Simple terms, can I provide comps? And yeah, guys, you know the answer to this one, yes. That's an easy one, we can do it. The scary part is that if an appraiser has access to RealComp, ML or MI Real Source, Midland Board, or we're all the way over on the west side of the state in Manistee, they've got all of the same access. It's kind of shameful that we might have to prepare that. However, you may have discovered some comparables that they may not have access to through the MLS, such as a for sale by owner that didn't run through the MLS because they completed a transaction on their own. So that would be something that we would want to actually do. Now, next one. A lender that I work with regularly often uses an appraiser that I think always comes in too low. And we do have these types of appraisers. Can I condition my future referral business on the lender's agreement to not use this one particular appraiser?
Oh,
So I got to know there. What's everybody else thinking? Can I condition future referrals with a lender based upon them not using a particular appraiser? Answer is you cannot. We can't even attempt to get an appraiser removed from a list of qualified appraisers. So this goes way back to when we had the last fall and they brought out all the new things to try to fix the problems that they're almost bringing right back all over again. And what they have created was many of you will now just know appraisal management companies. Well, appraisal management companies didn't used to exist, but they put a middleman in between the lender and the appraiser, and that's the appraisal management company. So here, the only thing you can do is not refer them, but you can't say, well, I'd come back to you and use you again if you can't do that. All right. Here's the next one. The square footage number in the appraisal for the home that my client is purchasing is incorrect. I have tried to call the appraiser to get him to correct it, but he won't take my call. What do we do? So this one's a little bit different. It's not a yes or no, but what do we do? The appraiser's got a wrong number. Maybe it was wrong in the MLS. We don't know what the appraiser's going to use. Most appraisers would measure to get their own number. So I'm not quite sure how this could come up other than if they weren't doing their job in full. But what do we do when we can't talk to the appraiser and they've got bad information? Let me rephrase this question. I just got the appraisal back and it's got incorrect information on it. What can we do?
Talk to the lender.
Talk to the lender. Matter of fact,
the lender, he's the one you ordered the appraisal.
you got it. So here's what I just got here. It is the answer. Who ordered the appraisal? Because they are the client. A lot of people believe that the buyer is the client. Nope. The buyer paid for the appraisal, but the client is the mortgage company. So once the appraisal is completed and sent to the client, the appraiser is prohibited. I don't know that we actually knew this, but the appraiser is prohibited from discussing the results of the appraisal with anyone but the client.
Or the mortgage.
The mortgage company. So when we have something that we believe is, we could switch this around. When we believe that we have a bad appraisal, we would actually not talk to the buyer. You guys have done this without even thinking about it, but there's a reason why we have to talk to the lender. They are the client. They're the only ones who can say, okay, yep, I agree with you. That's false or faulty information, and take it back to the lender for reconsideration. Okay. In order to get the appraiser correct in this situation, the error in square footage, you will need to work through the appraiser's client, which typically, again, is the mortgage company. And actually, I was just talking with one of our agents in Clarkson 2 weeks ago, and matter of fact, here's the situation. The appraiser gave no credit for a list of improvements that had been made to this home over the previous 5 years. And therefore, it did not reflect in the quality rating, condition rating of the appraisal. They fought the results of the appraisal, and the appraiser made an adjustment because he actually said no improvements have been made. So, here's one that pertains to the same question. But what do you do when you believe the low appraisal is faulty? Do I go back out and take a week for the appraiser to either make an adjustment or make no adjustment? The answer comes in, do you have faulty information that you can prove? If you do, then yeah, by all means, ask for it to be corrected. But most of the time, what I would tell you is it's not worth fighting. Because you got an appraiser, you're asking an appraiser's, Lisa's not here. We have an appraiser in our office here in Sterling Heights. But most appraisers have a little bit of an ego. And for them to say, oops, I was wrong. Well, you better have a very strong case to prove why the number that they came up with is not correct. Okay, let's go to the next one. The appraiser on my seller's home came in less than the purchase price on the purchase agreement, but it did not contain an appraisal contingency. So let me read it again. The appraisal came in on my seller's home less than the purchase price that was on the purchase agreement, but the purchase agreement did not contain an appraisal contingency. Are the buyers still obligated to close the sale?
No,
Yes.
Oh, I've got a couple of no's here. I've got one yes, and a whole lot of people that aren't going to say yet. But here we go. If it is a cash sale or the mortgage contingency is still satisfied, they are still bound to close.
to me, if the appraisal is not right, the lender will not give you the money for that unless the buyer come with the difference.
Yeah, so let me take this a little bit further because I think all of us get it from an aspect of if it's a cash buyer, right? Because there is no contingency on the appraisal. You can go ahead as a cash buyer and get an appraisal, but what's the purpose of it? Then you should have that contingency on the appraisal. Now, here's where I want to take you. Do we really then understand our purchase agreement in the way that most purchase agreements are written? Because what this says, or the mortgage contingency is satisfied. You see, if I buy a $300,000 house and I'm going to put $150,000 down, and I write the purchase agreement that way, and it comes in at 290, am I still going to get a $150,000 loan? The answer is yes.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter that it appraised low. And therefore, no longer can you get out of it because of the mortgage. Oh, so let's do this. Here's the purchase agreement in that particular section. And the important part to catch is that the agreement is contingent upon the buyer securing a blank type of mortgage. All right, that's a key part. Have you ever left that blank? Or have you ever accepted an offer on a listing of yours where another agent gave you a purchase agreement where this is blank? Now, I've reviewed some like that. And the problem is, it's contingent, like with no constraints. All right. So the whole purpose of this is to say it's contingent upon us getting a certain type of mortgage for a certain amount of money with a certain amount down. And if, here's the key, buyer agrees to apply for such mortgage at buyer's own, I put my highlight in the wrong place. Drop my line, my red line just below that. Property must appraise at sales price or higher, or buyers may declare the offer null and void. Now, that's that appraisal contingency is part of our purchase agreement if they're doing paragraph 4B. Otherwise, there is no contingency of appraisal. Okay? Does everybody see that? I want to take a second and make sure out there in Zoom land that everybody's good with it. Okay?
I have a
Everybody's
question,
good?
Darren.
There you go. Yes, Lydia.
Yeah. So you're saying that the first blank we were supposed to put certifiable mortgage?
So a certain type of mortgage. So you would put in there conventional,
Oh,
FHA, if it was a FHA MISHA or a conventional MISHA, VA. So the particular type of loan that they're going after.
Okay,
And
got it.
then-
I thought you said something else. And
Yeah.
it was like, I didn't attend that class. Okay, thank you.
Not with me on that one, right?
Right.
So the other thing that I would throw out, guys, best to use percentages versus the dollars. Because see, if there's a change, now knowing what and how the appraisals work and the contingency and how it works. If you put a dollar amount in there and then a seller makes a counter offer at a higher price, your offer is still contingent upon your buyer qualifying for that mortgage amount that you put in. If you're doing an 80-20 and you use that, doesn't matter that it increases. Now it's an 80-20 mortgage on that higher value. And that's the reason that this section is written the way that it is. All right. Going to the next one. My buyer agreed to cover any difference. Ooh, this is going to sound familiar. My buyer agreed to cover any difference between the appraised value and the sale price up to a maximum of $10,000. The appraisal came in $15,000 below, otherwise a $5,000 difference. And the question, is the seller required to reduce the price by $5,000? What say you? I've got a no, a no, a no, a no. I got 5 no's here with me. Let's see what anybody's going to say out on chat land here. Okay. Everybody's got the right answer. And that answer is not unless, whoops. I just changed my own view of things here now. Not unless your purchase contract expressly provided for such a price reduction. Otherwise, so often it really just breaks down to this. What did we agree to on the purchase agreement? I'm going to have to look at this the rest of the way through because I can't figure out what I did. So, as a matter of fact, anytime you have any issue, the first place you should look is the purchase agreement. What has the buyer and seller agreed to? And that means I need to get specifically into the verbiage of the contract. So when you start writing these types of clauses, I would recommend that you don't. But use the clauses that are pre-done. So every one of our MLSs has got the clauses in the library that you can take and it will put it directly onto an addendum. And if it will fit in the additional conditions on the purchase agreement, you can put it directly on the purchase agreement. And this is a great one as to why we would actually do that. Okay. All right, got it my own back. All right. So bottom line, no, but it depends. How did the purchase agreement get written? Okay. Who can provide a market analysis? And who can be paid for a market analysis?
Seller.
Let me rephrase this. Can you, as a licensed salesperson, do a market analysis? Part 2, can you do a market analysis and get paid for it as a licensed salesperson in the state of Michigan?
Yes.
I've got a couple of heads nodding. Is
Yes.
that to part 1 or is that to part 2?
Part 2,
Let's
yes.
break this down. Can you provide a market analysis?
Yes.
The answer is
Yes.
absolutely. Can you be paid for a market analysis?
Yes. To me is no. Yes. Yes, option.
It's a no.
Yeah.
You
No.
can't.
You can?
You cannot be paid as a licensed salesperson. So here, as you take a look at it on the screen here,
You, but your company.
yes, but then you can't be compensated for it because you're a
Your company.
salesperson. And so you have to take it from that direction. So let me read this. The occupational code allows a salesperson to prepare a market analysis only for a customer or potential customer, and only if the salesperson does not charge separately for this service. So it's just part of the compensation of getting the home sold and closed. That's what we do every day, right? This means that a salesperson cannot prepare a market analysis for a third party. Gee, Cliff, my mother just passed away. I need to get a value for the house. Can you do that for me? Cliff has got the right answer. He's shaking his head no. Not for that purpose. Now, Cliff said, well, let me ask you this. Are you looking to sell it once you've got that? Well, yeah. Now you can do it because that's a potential customer. And of course, we want to make sure that whatever you provide, and if it has a value, that it states that this is for the purpose of a future listing opportunity. Okay, something of that nature. Now, here's the clarification, and this is what you were talking about, Andy. A broker or a associate broker, otherwise I hold a broker's license of some type, can prepare a market analysis for any person or entity other than when it's a federally related transaction, which pretty much means if they're getting a loan and it's for that purpose, you can't do it. Okay? And they can charge for that service. But they must, if they do this, this statement must be, as a matter of fact, as you can say, this language in boldface print must be on the market analysis. So if any of you in the future, brokers, provide the service of a market analysis and you charge for it, this has to be not only on the market analysis, but it has to be in full boldface. Interesting stuff, eh? Now, here's the neat part. It's 11:23 or 12:23. I'm pretty much done. It's been a long time since we've done this. So guys, it's question time. We got a little time. You've had a week that's passed. Hopefully you're out there doing business. What has come up for you in the past week that you need help with? You need some clarification, something that you feel that we should discuss. What do you have? Take yourself off mute and throw it my direction.
I have one quick question on at the beginning, when you said you can contact an appraiser. I was always told you can't contact him directly, but you can bring your comps to the house that he's appraising. Is that true or not true?
So yeah, the answer would be is you can meet them at the house and provide comparable properties. I've not heard different from that. Because as a matter of fact, if we think about it, the access that the seller gives us to grant others to see the property means that they must be members of the multiple listing service. And so I would hope the appraiser is, but what about in the situation where they're not? Rare, very rare, but we are able to meet appraisers at the house and we can provide comparable information. But once that's done, the only contact that can happen is between the client and the appraiser. And that typically, again, the client is the mortgage company. I got a question with Cliff here first.
If we can cause the appraiser to call us for an appointment, we can ask him if he or she, if we can leave some information for their consideration. I have spoken with appraisers, friends here, and they've said.
So one of the things that Cliff has done is to talk with them prior to an establishing appointment and said, I'm going to leave you with some information at the home versus meeting them at the home.
Do you mind?
Do you mind if I do that? And by the way, that's appropriate because you're putting them up on the pedestal and getting permission, not calling them silly.
Yes, and never stay there and pester them with all of the features. Don't do a sales job.
Yeah.
Pester them.
I will tell you and share with you that coming up, I've already asked Lisa. Lisa Nagy is a longtime appraisal here in the Sterling Heights office, working as an agent also. She is going to be coming on, and I just haven't set a date with her yet, but she's already agreed to do this. So I'm going to ask her to do a presentation, and then you guys can ask her all the questions you want directly from her as a very knowledgeable, very experienced appraiser. So that one will be coming. Andy, was there something you had?
Yes, is it, when you're talking about meet the appraiser, is it you're talking about listing agent or seller agent?
Probably the listing agent.
So
Yeah, matter of fact, great clarification. Yeah, so Andy just hit it. If you did not hear it, he says, are you talking this is the selling or buyer's agent or the listing agent? Really, the individual we're talking about meeting the appraiser is the listing agent. That's most of the time, but have there been the buyer's agents? Yeah.
especially when you are a dual agent, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Represent the buyer and seller at this time,
Yeah.
but you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great one. And just again, do a little communication. I have talked to them. They got to call you sometimes just be able to set up the appointment. So absolutely. What other questions did you have out there, gang?
I have a comment.
Oh, we got another one.
I've seen in certain homes that I go to see, they have a list of all the updates stuck onto their fridge, in the bathroom mirror, a couple of the places. Now, it is not for appraisal.
Right.
It is for the client to come and see, oh yeah,
Sure.
these are the updates, I can see it, and they can go and take a look. And that list stays, when the appraisal comes in and he takes a look at it, is it okay?
Yes. So if you will, there's some of us that will use like little tent cards to be able to highlight improvements or updates to the home. We'll do feature sheets. Sometimes we'll stick it on mirrors or on the refrigerator. Can I leave that? Absolutely, and should be left. Because for the agent I was referring to in Clarkston, this home had all these features. It was in the home, and the appraiser gave them nothing for it, even made a statement that it didn't have any. So absolutely, those feature sheets, those improvement lists should be left. Not only can be, but should be.
So do you think appraiser will take that as well, whatever he updated?
Yes.
Go for it
Yeah. Or at least give verification to the things that they can.
with approval?
Yeah.
Not just a word.
Well, just, you know, if you said that the roof was replaced, I'm showing a home here this evening, and it says that the roof was replaced a week ago. Well, you know, you could even put the receipt, paid receipt for that. You're gonna need it anyway,
Make a copy of it and you put it.
and put it with it because there's verification that that was done. Now, that's what I call maintenance, by the way. A new roof is maintenance. It's not really an improvement. Did it increase the value?
Need to be prepared.
Yeah, but see, homes are supposed to have roofs that don't leak. So it really, you did what you needed to do, but you brought the value up to where it should have been because it was going to leak. So we've always got to make sure that we talk to people in the right way with that.
We put premium nails and underneath
Oh.
the table as an improvement.
Yeah, see, yeah, and windows is another thing. So we use the stainless steel nails and screws. We even glued all the joints, and we used a 100-year shingle. Right?
There is no such a
That-
thing.
No, I know. That's why I'm exaggerating just a wee bit. Yeah, it's the things that people want to do. It's like, but I used heavy duty nails. Okay. And what does that really mean? So there's those things that we call improvements, those things which are maintenance, and those things that were probably improvements or maintenance that we'll just call features because it cost you a lot of money. Hope you enjoyed it. You know, a kitchen, that's an improvement, but but most time it's just a really nice feature because it increased the value, but it cost you money to do that because you're not going to get the full return in most cases. Okay. Other questions?
Hey, Darwin, can I ask a question
go,
about
Kev.
agency?
Yes.
I got a question about the agency agreement. So in my listing, it's my listing. I had a guy call up and wanted to see the property, do a showing. He only wanted to deal directly with the listing agent because he had it in his mind that he didn't have to sign an agency agreement, and he absolutely refused to sign one. If it's my listing, am I still required to have that or not?
All right, let's check everybody else's understanding. So Kevin's got a listing. A buyer called him up, said, I want to see it. I only want to work with you because I don't want to sign a contract with any agent. Must that buyer sign a contract with Kevin? I got a couple answers here. Nobody else is participating.
I'm gonna say
Kevin,
no.
answer. Okay, Lydia, you got it. Yep. So everybody had that right that's participating. You do not have to have that buyer sign a contract. And the reason being is you're going to simply disclose to that buyer, which if he knows this, he knows that you're representing the seller. So
Got it.
because of that, because you are representing the seller, he does not need to sign a contract.
So he's an unrepresented buyer at that time, and I'm going to treat him accordingly and talk and still represent my seller.
You are correct.
If you choose.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Good. Great
Cool.
question.
Thank you.
Steve Martin, you got one
Yeah.
out there, buddy.
Yeah, Darwin. So it goes back to the CMAs. So if we're trying to get our lead generation and offering this as a a service, we just have to be very clear that whoever we're giving it to, they are the owners of the property that are requesting it. And it's not a third party situation like you had explained before.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me simplify it. If I called you up and said, hey, Kevin, I'm thinking of selling my house, or Steve,
Yep.
I'm thinking of selling my house. Could you do a market analysis?
Yep.
Everybody says yes. And can you charge for it?
No.
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 It's part of the service that you're providing. If they become a customer, you get it sold and you actually close. So that's the simplification. It's just really we got to look at it from an aspect of, can I do it for any other reason other than a potential listing? And the answer is no, not as a salesperson. I have to have a broker's license.
Got it. Thank you.
Good clarification. All right. Anybody else got anything out there?
That's a very important question.
We got a very important question.
And actually, is a scenario already been happened.
Okay.
A purchaser purchased a house,
Buyer buys a house.
and then later after closing,
After
the
closing,
house went in fire,
the house burns down.
okay? And then the insurance company will not compensate the buyer. The reason why there was some improvement by previous seller was done without permit.
Permits.
Okay.
So by the way, let me give you the rest of it, that this is actually something that had happened. The previous owner had made improvements to the property without having proper permits pulled, and the insurance company wouldn't cover it for that reason.
The seller will be responsible.
That they're saying the seller would be responsible. So the insurance company of the buyer didn't cover the fire. So what's the only situation? You got to go after the seller.
Did not disclose that.
Because the seller didn't disclose that they did not pull proper permits. And of course, read how the seller's disclosure is written, because that seems pretty obvious, but what if I didn't know I needed to pull permits? Yeah.
Well,
Then, I mean, how is, but one for, this is boy, that'd be a great one for future subjects. to talk about. So there's one to keep in mind on how important it is when people go, well, I didn't get a permit. Because here's one,
Increase the
if-
property tax.
do you need to get a permit to replace a hot water heater?
Yes,
If you're a licensed contractor, you do.
yes.
But my understanding, and I'm not an attorney, but you could replace it yourself without one.
But if we, you know, if the insurance approved that, what if it's been updated was not permitted, but maybe the buyer
Yeah,
was not from the update.
Exactly,
gonna
this
cost-
was the case in the court.
wow.
Somebody changed the hot water tanks. They did not pull permit and they don't, that person, he brought a friend to do it.
Ah.
which is- Did not put the gas line straight and then cause the fire was the leak.
They're going that was
And
the
this is
cause
what
of the
happened.
fire.
The insurance company
Wow.
came, they said, we have a new hot water tank, but, okay, who did replace that? Did you have a license? They checked with the city. There is no permit. They refused to pay the fire.
Wow.
Sometimes the
Thanks.
city comes up, if city finds out that you've done.
Yeah.
They'll come up.
Oh, yeah, there was some fun stuff. We could get off on that tangent real easy.
You change
So
this-
guys, I'm always looking for topics. What's going on in the market right now that we need to address? Bring them up so that I've got something to work with. It'll help me a heck of a lot more. But yeah, there's a few things where I've got Ladybird, deeds, what those are, how they actually work, the appraisal I've got coming up. We've got another one in regards to, I think it's trusts. One of the attorneys are going to come in and join us, but look, I'm always open for your ideas, what's going on right now. Here's a quick one for what you might do to help your business. Send out one thank you to anybody every day. Go the extra length to do a thank you to someone, be it someone at the restaurant, the person who took your cash at the gas station or wherever it may be. Think of somebody, just give them a big thank you and have your card in there. Who knows the difference it's going to make? But with that, I say thank you. There's another Hot Topic Tuesday all wrapped up, and we will see you guys again next week. Have a great one.
Where's the card?
Yeah, MasterCard. Say thank you.
Someday.
Some people, they need tips.
Awesome.